Nadal to get us underway. Back to last year, Mark, it felt like the first couple of rounds for Nadal.
15-0.
The draw was a little more, I don't want to say easy and be disrespectful, but there were players who hadn't played at Popyrin's level before. He's got to be on it from the off today, hasn't he?
Yeah. Last year there was no mercy from Rafa against those early round opponents, and that certainly put him into a healthy position as they went into week 2. But you're right, this is a much different opponent. And yesterday, Pete, we did the match with Federer against Isterman. And Isterman's been around for quite some time, but he didn't really come out with a game plan. He didn't use his strengths to, well, compete. But I think this is a very different option today. I think we'll see someone who is a lot younger, a 21-year-old, but he has that inner belief that he has weapons that can hurt no matter the opponent up the other end.
It was very interesting. Not only is he talking his chances up, he says, I have the game to beat Nadal.
Yeah. Well, and the game starts with the serve. He's using his frame, 6'5". He has a big serve. He's able to keep points short. He plays very like a Marat Safin. And we know that rhythm is something that Nadal really wants to base his game on. And Popyrin has that ability to take the rhythm away from Rafa.
Striking the ball with venom, Popyrin. Here as well, and the juniors, 롤랑가로스 in 2017, so he knows how to move on the dirt. He laughed off the fact he told Rafael Nadal that he won the juniors. He said, well, Nadal might have mentioned that he's got the 13 main titles. Great dig from Nadal. About the dangers of this encounter. Using that word, I've got a dangerous opponent today. He will have been very sharp to make sure that he got off to a good start, and he's looking sharp in that opening game.
And just to finish that last game, the final point, Rafa finds himself up at net and digs out a very tough volley. Still consider him one of the best volleyers in the game, based on the fact that when he chooses to come forward, he is selective, but quite often he has a volley, just has to hit one volley, but it's generally into an open court.
Au service, Alexei Popyrin.
How often have you seen Rafa have to play a half volley or a shoelace volley, Pete?
It's so rare.
It is. So.
And when you say open court as well, he's often got more of an open court than anyone else, because you've got to be so far back or so far off the court to get him to hit a volley with that approach shot that he hits.
So Rafa just taking a little extra time there, making, you know, just letting Popyrin know that this is his arena.
His living room.
Yep.
first game for Popper, just to ease the nerves. Beforehand might have settled a few butterflies.
Yeah, pulling the trigger on a forehand, falling away. He was quite a ways behind the baseline. And we've already given him quite a bit of hype, Popper, and about his weapons, and see how this first game unfolds. He's a player for me, likes the pressure situations. Something you know all about, Mark, is in playing in home Grand Slam in Australia, and that he's done very well every time he's played there. He had a good win this year against Goffin. He was the third round twice before that. His win against Dominic Thiem a couple of years ago there too. Seems to be a player who thrives on the big stage. So far. Well, hopefully he covets playing in these big moments and on the bigger courts. If you want to be one of the marquee names in this sport, you're going to have opportunities to play on the great stages. Has got the ability just to race through service games like that one. A super service game that was. Yeah, holding to love. And as I highlighted earlier, Pete, in the match that they played in Madrid, the serve wasn't really working. He only hit 51% of first serves into play. He didn't get a high win rate from it. But the second serves is where there was a big question mark. He only won 7 of 23 points off of his second serve. So it's kind of, it was exposed a little. But he ended up losing serve 5 times in that match. But he did break Rafa's serve, so I think that also gives us an idea that whilst his weapons weren't necessarily all firing, he still had something else to rely upon.
Those types of rallies will always suit Nadal. The longer the point, the more he will become the bigger favourite. Mark, what are the tactical nuances we might see today from Nadal? I think he'll try to use those conditions. He'll obviously keep hitting with so much rotation. I just wonder whether he will try and expose Popperen's movement. That's certainly an area that I think over the next couple of seasons, hopefully Alexei is paying attention to his movement, but you know, Rafa, if he can expose someone corner to corner, they become very vulnerable. But of course, Rafa always comes into an arena and he shows respect. So I think he will be very conscious of the young Australian up the other end. So he might win today just with his impeccable professional attitude. Mentioned earlier on as well, everything went completely to plan, the build-up to this year's event. A surprise loss to Rublev in Monte Carlo. Won Barcelona, but nearly lost the final, had to save match points against Tsitsipas. Lost to Zverev in Madrid, very nearly. It was a set 4-1 down to Shapovalov early on in Rome. Ended up, of course, winning. It was a 36th Masters title. 10th Rome Masters title as well.
And he had to save match point against Shapovalov as well, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. So both tournaments he's won, saving match points in the early rounds.
He's not been as invincible as some years, but it's been a while now, it feels, that since he last was invincible in the clay court build-up. Here's a different story.
Yes, in 1 year of the 13 victories that he's had here, there was a season where he didn't win any of the tournaments, but he still managed to take away the crown.
He talks about the fact that he wants to get as many clay court matches under his belt. The more he gets, the better he gets. I feel like last year, of course, with the COVID situation, he was perhaps a little undercooked, but just got better and better as the tournament went on. Arguably his greatest ever performance in last year's final.
Avantage Nadal.
First ace for Nadal.
Nadal.
To close out a game from Rafael Nadal. Asked a few questions by Poprin early on.
Nadal mène 2-1.
So far, so good for the Spaniard. Leads 2-1.
2-1-0.
Beautiful sunny conditions once again. As I say, tomorrow maybe a bit of rain. We do have the roof here on Chatrier. We see the Nadal team there, Carlos Moya and Francisco Roy.
Yeah, very much a team. That's also his agent there, former player Carlos Costa. He's had very much the same faces that are there in that box.
Of course, Uncle Tony now with Auger-Aliassime, though.
Yes.
So don't see him as much, so he won't be sat watching whenever he plays Nadal.
That would be quite a scene, wouldn't it? To see Uncle Tony sitting in the opposite box.
10 seconds.
Reprise.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're back.
High quality start. Players settling nicely to this first round encounter on day 3 for 롤랑가로스. Nadal up first today, and we'll have the night match later on. 9 PM local time. Djokovic against Tennis Sandberg. First ever men's night match at 롤랑가로스.
That was a very sharp return. That angle, and that's the benefit of having a big frame and obviously long levers as well. Popper able to hit a forehand, kept the point alive, and we see the Nadal error. Just have a little look at that mark. Popperin's end of the court, it looked like it might have clipped some of the line, but looks like he's happy with that call. The topspin, Rafa flattened that backhand out, but the ball's just not bothering Popperin. He's able to take it around hip high. That backhand was certainly struck with some authority. Some good pace off of both wings, backhand and forehand from the young Australian. Yeah, got there with enough time, did Nadal. I don't mind this play, though, by Popperin. I think he maybe just got stuck. He didn't close the court down by moving inside the baseline far enough. When you see Rafa playing a single-handed backhand coming under the ball, he can't hit it with any authority, so maybe move back inside the court. To see it, and I love the fact that he wasn't shy at one of the key points in this match so far. At 30-all, throws in the serve and volley. Rafa may be a bit surprised to see him select to do it at that point, but it was well executed.
A lot this year. That's been a noticeable difference this year to last year. The clarity of thought seems to be playing with a bit more conviction. He's always had the talent. There's no doubt about that. He's been hitting a big ball for the last couple of years. He's less emotionally affected as well by what's gone before. I think he's really maturing.
Avantage Popperin.
I think that he's, over the last couple of years, Pete, in Australia, he's been living in the shadow of Nick Kyrgios and Alex de Minaur. So he's been able to just continue this ascent into the game without that much attention back home. And I think that's just helped his maybe emotional balance on the court.
To go under the radar, as you say. The character, he's a pretty mild-mannered, nice man. Big forehand. Maybe a nice man, but that's a nasty strike.
Well, you certainly got to spend some time with him last year through a series of exhibitions in the south of France, and I know that you've been talking about him in such a very positive way over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, he was, you know, he's got this big game, and you would think there's this huge ego to go with it. Not at all. He's just a really quiet, nice fella. You sort of bump into him as he's walking his dog with his young girlfriend, and always stop to have a chat. So polite. He actually lists his mum as his inspiration, saying that Doesn't think she's ever missed a practice of his. I think it's incredible the effort she's put into his game, and just a really well-rounded person. I did feel on the court got a little too emotional, hard on himself, rather than maybe sometimes saying the opponent was playing the great tennis. He was beating himself up.
Right.
I think that's something I've seen him do a lot better this year. Not beat himself up.
15-0.
Well, also using that series of tournaments, that an exhibition series of events, so you know he's able to maybe experiment and explore the you know the highs and lows. So if you know if you're going to maybe not be totally not having the best attitude, that's the time to do it, in practice or in exhibition play.
And it's not bad because his dad was one of the reasons why it was set up. He was the CEO of UTS along with Patrick Moritoglu, which is where he's spent a lot of his time. Switch of coach as well coming into this year, Benjamin Ibrahimzadeh, who's with the likes of Angelique Kerber in the past. So things seemingly coming together for him.
40-0.
The other thing I liked about him, by the way, is he's a big Everton fan. I like that because it's not a Man United or a Liverpool or Chelsea, you know, or Real Madrid. It's a proper club.
He only wanted to say that to you. He knew you were a fan.
I'm not an Everton fan either. But fine serve from Nadal. Comfortable service hold.
Nadal mène
20-time Grand Slam champion. He leads 3-2 on serve. So
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Then I have a request for the 25 seconds. That's the rule here.
Yes, a 20-time Grand Slam. And of course, he'll go out on his own, ahead of Roger Federer if he goes and claims a 14th Roland Garros title.
So we got it wrong last year. I thought that, you know, maybe that the prospect of actually equaling Federer, that as he got closer, that it would just, you know, there would be a very nervous Rafa Nadal, that maybe we would see a different person on the court. Because
So
it's, to reach 20 Grand Slams, you're going to be
silver. Struff would be the first
greatest of all time.
one in the run, please.
So I think this year, you know, the fact that he could go to 21 on this surface, again, I'm just wondering how we get to the end. Will he be a little tighter?
14. You know, we're on record here, yeah? So it's
10 seconds.
He'll answer it for us soon enough.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're back.
It's mum and dad for the Alexei Poprin. Alexei has had a lot to do with UTS, developing that form of the sport with Patrick Moritoglu, and the mum, Elena, on the right. He's someone that he, as I say, is an inspiration to him, which is always nice to hear, isn't it? Respectful of the effort put in by parents.
15-0.
So that's another hand in first serve into play. Just keeping watch on that first serve percentage and the win rate. He certainly has not, at this stage, lost a point when he's landed that first serve, but he's just below 60% mark, and again, that would certainly go a long way to his prospects in this first set, at least, at first serve.
40-0.
Oh, yeah, to win a point. It's the first serve. 9 from 9. Poprin. Found the line there. He's just going to inspect this one. Joseph. Go down to 4th ace. Another love service hold for the Australian.
Jeu Popin.
It's 3-all first set.
3 jeux partout.
It's the other thing to say for Rafael Nadal. Extraordinary achievement with challenging to sit down about must be winning 21 Grand Slam titles is the fact that he turned 35 in 2 days' time. This, if he was to go and win these championships, it would be his 7th Grand Slam title since turning 30. Super tennis just working Poprin over, going side to side. But the reason I mentioned that statistic, Mark, is because I remember a good few years ago when I used to coach in England, the head of coaching was saying that there's no way this guy's going to last with his knees. This was all about 14 years ago.
Yeah, I think that there was that common thread of thought. How will someone like Rafa, the way he plays, physical demands that he's placing upon himself every time he steps on, not just to a match court, but it's also on a practice court.
I just thought it would be done before 30.
Yeah.
Winning 7 Grand Slams after turning 30.
Foul! 30-0.
Double fault. Some concern to Nadal.
What's had a couple.
Je Nadal. Changement de balle, s'il vous plaît, ramasseur. Balle.
Serve so far in this.
Nadal mène 4 jeux à 3.
5 seconds.
3,
4,
4,
3, 2, 1, 0.
To assess the start of this match, Mark.
Well, as we went to a break there, you used the term intriguing, and I think it's you know, just it's how it is unfolding. There's you know, it's like a chessboard. You know, which moves are coming next, and yeah, I think Rafa is, you know, certainly again showing respect for his young opponent up there. Warm day, warmest that we've had so far. Absolutely brilliant outside. Rafa still continuing with placing those bottles
10 seconds.
methodically, making sure they don't.
Always.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're back.
The bottles that I was talking about at the sit-down. Did you ever have any of those superstitions?
I did not. No, nothing like that. I did work with an Australian player who actually had to play Rafa Nadal on the clay, and he said, "Oh, you know, what do you think I should do when to play against him?" I said, "Well, why don't you just walk by and knock the bottles over?" Well, he did that, but that was when he was down 6-1, 4-1. I said that really wasn't the time of doing it.
15-0.
The dark arts of Mark Woodford coaching as well. Seeing that. Did he win the next couple of games?
No, he got whipped 1-1.
As many others have.
Maybe that might be the way to unnerve Rafa. I'm not sure the rest of your game is going to hurt him, but you could affect him.
Psychology behind, of course, superstitions within sport and the sporting context, and as long as you don't take them too seriously, they are good. Because obviously, you can go in with belief. I've done this, that means I'm going to win. It's a good mindset to go into every point, every game.
Yeah.
Worry is if you take them too seriously, it then starts affecting everything you're doing. So if someone does kick it over, I think he would laugh it off. Nadal.
From memory, I think Rafa just kind of looked at him and said, "What are you doing?"
The world didn't end.
The world did not end, no. He went on to successfully win the tournament as well, so, yeah.
Usually here in his living room, he takes it.
30.
Yeah, this is the volley. It was a bit of a poke, wasn't it? Landing mid-court. But have a look at Popperin, though. He's still engaged in the rest of the point, and he was only beaten because of the net cord. Other than that, I think he would have got racket onto the backhand volley, and Rafa was certainly stuck way out in the doubles alley.
Get that volley right either. I'd like to come forward, Popperin, but talk to your former doubles partner. Still be a little bit of polish in front of the court.
Yeah, and I think he got a little out of position there. Again, he came forward there, trying to take the initiative and apply pressure, but the ball ended up being a little too high. He just couldn't get enough onto it. I think he was expecting something around shoulder high.
So break point for Nadal. Going to go wide, so First breakpoint opportunity of the opening set, and Nadal takes it. That's got a sting for Alexei Botman.
Nadal mène 5-3.
Broadcasters at the end of the set will show you the match point from Struff, then Monfils and Mladenovic, who was on Nature earlier. Probably that will take us through to the end of the set. Struff, Monfils and Mladenovic.
So all of a sudden, Nadal serving for the first set.
(15-0).
Polish in front of the court with the Poprin net game. It's been a polished first set. As far as Rafael Nadal is concerned, he's not faced a break point. He's taken his only chance. Now he has 3 set points.
So I will count to the commentators to stop, which if anybody is taking a 2-minute break, they can. But they might want to leave when Rob's about to do amazing things. Oh, is it?
40-15.
Excellent set of tennis as far as Rafael Nadal is concerned.
6-3.
Some might say clutch set of tennis from the master on the dirt. His one and only break point, and that was enough. Just the one break in serve. He's taking the opening set in just 38 minutes by 6 games to 3.
1-0, Lewis Cox and Kuro.
So Rafa is up and running on his favourite court of all time. Just while they change ahead of the second set, let's bring you up to date with the match. We've been concentrating out on court 14, and a huge upset. The number 7 seed, Andre Rublev, is out. Beaten by Jan Lennart Struff of Germany, by 42 in the world. And Struff took this match by the scruff of the neck from the outset, but Rublev was fighting back. But Struff taking it in 5 sets in 3 3/4 hours.
Push.
Elsewhere, some real French joy as Gael Monfils came through to round 2. Gael Monfils in action out on court Suzanne Longland, twice a quarter-finalist here. And just one of sport's great entertainers. Not just massively popular with French fans, he's popular with fans the world over. He brings so much to
Il se qualifie pour le second tour. Il est français, Gael Monfils.
Particularly with those knees. But he does use them a lot, doesn't he? He jumps around like a crazy horse. But Gael Monfils is through to round 2, beating
Merci.
Push.
And more French success, this time in the women's draw with Kristina Mladenovic. She was in action against Anna Karolina Śmiedlova, the qualifier from Slovakia. Mladenovic herself making a pretty emotional quarterfinals back in 2017. But she's through, straight sets win 6-4, 6-love on her 13th appearance here at 롤랑가로스.
Kristina Mladenovic.
A good day for the French here on day 3 of 롤랑가로스. It's probably going to be a good day for a certain Spaniard too, on the Philippe Chatrier.
2, 1, and comms in.
Hottest day of the tournament so far. So courts here. Philippe Chatrier certainly needing some water. Might not need it over the next 2 or 3 days though, sadly, because there's some rain forecast in the latter part of this week. And we are hoping that the sunshine will come back at the beginning of next week. Someone who knows all about sunshine and winning tennis matches in the sun, Carlos Moya, Nadal's long-term coach, the Rafael Nadal Academy, which of course has so many players playing there and blossoming.
I think he might have just seen himself on the big screen as well.
Put the mouse back up.
Well, that and eating something. The popper and camp. Pete, I'm just wondering, coming into the arena, do you think...
Deuxième manche au service, Alexei Popper.
Alexei, it's been of a hope that he's only playing in front of a 1,000 crowd?
I'm not sure, because I mentioned his success at the Aussie Open.
You think that he might have liked to see a full stadium here? Wouldn't have been too rattled?
Well, I think purely based on what he's produced at the Australian Open in front of fans, to me that suggests he enjoys those occasions. But who knows? In Rafa's living room, right? He's obviously going to be very comfortable with a full house. That'll be a new experience. Popper.
0-30.
It's a success. The Australian Open, and that win against Dominic Thiem, his only win against top 10 player, and he didn't actually close out the match. He was 2-0 and 2-0 up before the Austrian retired. He's 1-7 against top 10 opponents. 1 point this one, love 30. It's a little wild. It seems like there's a bit of a hangover effect.
0-40.
What's happened before
of losing that serve to go down 5-3. Yeah. Looks like that he's just wearing it on his shoulders. The body language certainly is not as positive. In some strife now at 140.
This was something I was talking about earlier. Me, last year, Popper in wet. If it was to be broken or hit a rough patch, it lasted a little too long. He was emotionally affected by what had gone before. I feel that's something he has improved this year, but maybe the big stage playing against Nadal, seeing the remnants of his frustrations.
Nadal.
An excellent finish to set 1 and an excellent start to set 2 as Nadal breaks early.
And there's the relentlessness that Rafa, after winning that first set, the foot has not come off of the accelerator. He knows the awareness of just keeping that pressure up and almost intensify that level.
anything different that Popper can do off the return markers, and in fact he wasn't able to generate a break point in that first set.
Our broadcast is at the 2-1 sit down. We're going to
he hasn't had much of a say because Rafa has been serving at a high level in that set. 72% of serves went into play. He was winning 80+% behind the first serve.
Been the only hiccup with regards to his serve. I mentioned earlier, as you just said, 70% first serve percentage, winning 81% of points behind the first serve, but now 4 double faults. Length from Popperin.
0-30.
Dare I say that I would assume Popperin is entering this court in this match that he's got to lose a serve along the way. I mean, he is playing one of the all-time, well, the greatest clay court player. So I don't think that he's can just pick the pieces up here that, you know, because of one service break, and it's only a set, but it doesn't mean that the match has ended. And yeah, so it'd be interesting to just pay attention to the young Aussie's body language over the next few games to see if he can pick himself up here. It's not, doesn't mean to say that this is going to go quickly. Trust in yourself. Still have that belief you can be competitive and pick up a break of serve. Chance here, back to 30 all.
Let, premier service.
Frustration himself into the rally. This is where talking about earlier on and seeing him play at UTS and speaking to him during those matches is in where he was often beating himself up rather than accepting sometimes some brilliant tennis from his opponent. Something that he's going to have to do today. The toughest task in sport, in my opinion.
Let, second service.
Rips through the forehand. And that's more like it with regards to the positive body language too.
40.
Yeah, the return was strong, and he expected an off-pace. Look at that balance. Certainly a great setup and transferred the weight through the forehand.
Nicely done. Oh, not quite getting the drop shot right on that occasion.
Avantage, Pobiré.
Chance to get the break straight back. First break point for the Australian. He's overcooked it. I understand the error, though. It's the right error, wasn't it?
Égalité.
It certainly was. I mean, I'm still in awe of the second serve. That was impressive. There was a little bit of sting behind the second serve. We know sometimes Rafa's serve, if he is getting tight.
There's Benjamin Ibrahimzadeh, who's now working with Alexei Poprin, coach of Angelique Kerber. Nadal is happy to trade like that all day.
Avantage, Nadal.
No way through.
Yeah, it is a huge hurdle to overcome. And certainly when there is so much rotation coming off of Nadal's forehand and backhand, even though with a 6'5" frame, you see that Popperin is back behind that baseline. He's not really able to close the court down enough, or often enough.
Always seems to be the right time too. Throws in the serve and volley, and
Nadal mène
through his
2-0.
toughest service game, had to save a break point, but survives and backs up the break for a 2-love lead. And what is a 5th straight game? Suddenly all the momentum is with the Spaniard.
Zéro 15. Zéro 30.
Well, he's trying to bully his way to net, and the volley is going just down the court. I think certainly against someone the caliber of Nadal, it's got to be maybe a short-angled or even just a short volley inside the service box.
Yeah, just out. Just wait.
Seems a bit rattled right now.
0-40.
Starting to perhaps run out of ideas. Nadal's making more returns too. He's just asking a few more questions. At the moment, his player doesn't have the answers. 3 break points. Talk about as well as staying in the present. Must be tough to do. You know, you've got the mountain to climb against the greatest ever player on this surface.
Out.
Well, a very rare occurrence of a second delivery. Nadal overplays the return. So a reprieve for Popyrin. Just needs to try to pick himself up here. It's still a little negative for my liking.
There is yet another game in a row for Rafael Nadal, a 6th.
Nadal mène 3-0.
Feels like a long, long time ago that this match was in the balance. 3-all in the first set. Nadal strengthens his grip on the encounter.
2-1. Lose commentators and Q Wayne.
Well, good afternoon, Wayne Boyce with you for the rest of the day, taking over from Rob Curling, and just an opportunity to quickly take a look at a key tactic that has been working so well for Rafa Nadal, clearly targeting the backhand of Popyrin. And look at the percentages. First serve points won 81%, 83% of those on the backhand. On the juice court, 78% on the ad court as well. 3 aces for good measure as well, but unerring first serve accuracy for Rafa Nadal. So not necessarily today the much vaunted forehand, even though it is still working pretty well for him. But Rafa Nadal, as always, well in control here against a difficult first round opponent. But if he keeps up those service percentages, very difficult to see Popyrin getting anywhere near an upset this afternoon on what is very much Rafa Nadal's home court.
4 to commentary.
Let's rejoin the action.
2, lose Wayne, and commentators in, please.
Mark, you've worked with players at very highest level, and as I said to you earlier, dealing with Popyrin at UTS was a lot of fun, but it was amazing how often he beat himself up and didn't praise the opponent, saying, well, actually, he just played a great couple of games there. The older, more experienced players did do that. Yeah. They were able to recognize when an opponent just peaked for a couple of games or so. I'll get to my question in a moment. In a way, though, is it not a good trait? The fact that he's a perfectionist of himself, he demands and believes that he should beat these great opponents. So can you look at the positives as well as the negatives?
Of course, I love the fact that you know you can have some words with yourself, but you've got to be able to turn it around. It might be that inward kind of discussion that you have with yourself, but at the moment, he's also allowing the crowd, us as commentators, and more importantly, he's letting Rafa see that he's lost at the moment and beating himself up. I don't know you'd want to be showing someone like Rafa or anyone up the other end too often that you're ticked off with yourself. you can. This game is about, you know, how you deal with unforced errors and making mistakes. This is not necessarily about how many winners you are hitting all the time.
I've had a great conversation with Billie Jean King. I know I've just thrown that name up there, but she said...
You're such a name dog.
I know, everywhere, every day. But yeah, she talked about you have to be a good actress or actor to play the sport in terms of... But also kidding yourself. She said she'd tell herself she's 1-4 down in the scoreboard, even when she was 4-1 up, and made herself convinced of that. It's the same goes with regards to your body language, I would imagine, too. Talking about body language, I mean, Rafael Nadal, best in the business for you.
He does a great job of disguising when he is annoyed, and you know, I think you were here for those 2 losses as well. If you didn't know what the scoreboard was and you arrived in that last game, you still would have seen him fighting 100%.
A real surprise. Usually so reliable on the overhead. I think we've had debates in the past if we've ever seen Nadal miss a smash, but there we have one. Showing he's human after all.
Was he trying to do like a bit of a half jump into that?
Whatever it was, it didn't work for once. Roll continues.
I mean, how many times over the years people have said how relentless Rafa is, as well as he's very quick to push that reset button. So when he does make a mistake, if it is a mistake or puts in a bad game, he just has that ability, awareness to push that reset button. Forget about it, stay in the present. Which is not really what Alexei at this stage is displaying.
I think that's something we've referenced with Djokovic and Federer and Murray in terms of losing dramatic sets or even winning dramatic sets. They're often the same in that first game of the second set or third. We're lucky enough to be part of the commentary team this year with Gilles Muller. Someone who's beaten Nadal not once but twice at a Grand Slam, both times at Wimbledon. But I did ask him who his toughest opponent was, and he said Nadal for that reason, the relentlessness, just the no let up of pressure. There's no free point anywhere. He said it's also one of the only times he's been completely embarrassed on a tennis court playing Rafa Nadal on clay in Barcelona. I think Nadal as well was 18 years of age too, which made it even worse for him. But he's obviously not alone there.
Yeah, Rafa has a very good record against Australians in general. He's 34-8 against Aussies on all surfaces, but on the clay, well, he has a definite edge. There's 11-0.
That's better. Now there's the volley you were talking about, Mike. Just a little shallower, more angle. Well executed.
And got into a solid position. Look where he made that approach shot. So he was able to slide into the volley just in front of the service line. Yeah, lovely angle.
That stops the rod. Still annoyed is Popperin, but that's a first game of 8 for the Australian. Gets himself on the scoreboard a lot later than he would have liked in the second set. It's Nadal, who leads by 4 games to 1.
3, 2, 1. Go break. 1 minute on break. So
where do you see Popperin's career going, Mark, in terms of there's a lot of talent there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of space to keep going upward in his game. I myself have a lot of respect for the fact that he's spending most time outside, most of the year outside of Australia. He's based himself in the south of France. Also spends a bit of time in Spain, but he's looking after his game. He's spending time on the clay court. He's developing a base. He has the weapons to play quick tennis, serve and volley. He's a pretty good volleyer as well, but he needs to play defense. And this is the surface where you learn all about the different assets in your game.
5, 3, 2, 1. There's a pause. Keep it.
So Nara's run of games has come to an end. Still yet to be broken in this first round encounter. A reminder, the winner of this match, a match between Hugo Gaston and Richard Gasquet, so it's definitely going to be a French opponent. I can tell you that Gasquet's taken the first set over on Longlen there by 6 games to 1. Gaston 2-1 up the second. Gaston, of course, player who lit this arena up last year. An incredible performance in particular against Dominic Thiem. Forced Popperin well back, knowing that his opponent was deep in behind the baseline. Nice quick, subtle grip change, wonderfully executed.
Premier service.
So broadcasters from Wayne at the end of the set will break away. Wayne's voice will come in. We've got 4 to show you from around the courts. First up, Bagnes, court 6. Second, Bedene, court 7. These are all match points. Third, Wang, court 8. And fourth, Duckworth, court 12.
In there,
been a lot of time kind of holding on to sets, regardless of time. But I've seen here there's been a lot of in match, so sit downs and stuff. Right, okay, so yeah, we have done it, but yeah.
Great angle. Great serve to employ when your opponent is standing as deep as Popperin is.
Yeah.
Left-hander paradise, that wide serve to the ad court.
Something we've seen.
I think now as well it works.
Many times over.
You know, he's turned it on.
Champion.
He's 2 sets up. It's not,
slider.
You know, it's right.
Popperin serving to stay in this second set. 1-5.
So I'm going to count to pause. We bring the commentators out. And then I'll count again to Wayne being quiet. Wayne comes out. Commentary in immediately. Your name was again, sorry. Who's on early tomorrow?
Yeah, and he's executing these shots like he did in the last game, service game that he won. He's now repositioned himself around that baseline. able to get a good, healthy strike on the ball. It's getting down to Nadal's end of the court quicker. There's another one. In contrast to where we saw him probably at the beginning of this match up until about that 4-3 game, he was competing, well, maybe 4 or 5 feet behind the baseline.
First service hole for Poprin. Involved still in this second set. Leading by 5 games to 2.
2-1. Take the break. Staying right here.
See that big booming forehand of Poprin's. Patrick Mouratoglou was interviewed about a year ago, and who he's like. He's a Juan Martín del Potro, who he thought he was pretty similar to in terms of the game style. You said Safin, not yet. He's just a big power player, isn't he?
Well, he's got to be able to use that part of his game to his advantage. I don't think that you know, he's got to be scurrying around the baseline and engaging in lengthy rallies. You know, certainly against someone like Rafa, probably going to come in second place in that scenario. But that's why I think that it's such a wonderful experience for him to continue on basing himself in Europe. A little like Alex de Minaur as well. Not the highest ranked Australian. He bases himself in Spain and has that South American influence and loves playing on the clay. Learn about your game, build a stronger game.
3, 2, 1.
Sun is shining still, as it has been all day, barely a cloud in the sky. It's been a sunny disposition for Rafael Nadal. Just to finish off this second set, serving for it at 5-2.
So some more healthy hitting from Poprin's end of the court. Started with the return and never gave up the idea of trying to crunch the ball, and he was maybe 1 or 2 feet behind the baseline. So again, centering the ball well in that rally.
Let, second service.
Taking it early off the return again. Taking the time away from Nadal.
0-30.
Yeah. Wasn't overly crowded. He made sure that he just moved out of the way of the incoming ball, and a healthy position to make that return. Didn't rush it.
That's all again
mainly for broadcasters. Magnus court 6, Bedene court 7, Wang court 8, and Duckworth court 12. Next set.
Chance, just couldn't take it.
Gee, that was a heavy forehand. I feel like that's a record that we've played over and over here after Rafa just gets that buggy whip forehand going. Set point.
Et deuxième manche. To close out the second set, the second serve ace for the world number 3.
Nadal mène 2 manches à 0.
All the way through this encounter, a dip at the start of the set for Poprin, and that ended up being enough. 6-2.
So Rafa Nadal 2 sets to the good on Philippe Chatrier. We're just taking you away from the main court at the moment to get you up to speed with a few more results that have come in from the singles around the grounds. Facundo Bañez of Argentina has seen off the French wildcards Benjamin Bonzi, 7-5, 6-3, 6-4. He will face Jan-Lennard Struff, the German conqueror of the 7th seed Andrei Rublev, who defeated
3-0, 7-5, 6-3, 6-4.
And Slovenian Alias Bedne will face either Diego Schwartzman or Liu Yen-sun in the second round after he's beaten Adrian Manarino in 4, 7-5, 3-6, 7-5, and then 6-2 as he took control in the fourth and decisive set. Out on court number 8, a player who reached the third round here in 2018, Wang Chang of China, has beaten Shea Su Wei of Chinese Taipei. Lost the first set, 6-2, but turned the match around really well to see it out 6-4, 7-5. Coco Gauff, the 24th seed, the youngster from the United States, or the Serbian Alexandra Krunic, will be Wang's opponent in the second round.
Last one.
And James Duckworth, the Australian, has beaten Salvatore Caruso of Italy, again in 4, 6-4, 3-6, 7-6, and 6-2 in the fourth. He will now face Ricardos Barankis of Lithuania in the second round.
Keep talking. About 15 minutes.
So Rafa Nadal is almost there, isn't he? That extraordinary statistic that he hasn't lost a set at 롤랑가로스 since the 2019 final. He's looking good to keep that run going into the second round. Set number 3 coming up.
There's a pause. Powers out.
I wonder where these guys are in the draw. Winner of this one will face the winner of the match, currently over on Suzanne Lenglen. I can tell you that Gaston is up 4-3 in the second set. Gasquet took the first there, 6-1. It's a tough section of the draw, really, for Nadal. Likely third round opponent. Probably either Monfils or Sinner, who's done a lot of winning this year and also tested Nadal a couple of times too. Likely third round opponent will either be Cam Norrie or Lloyd Harris. Sinner likely to be a fourth round opponent, I should have said. Possible quarter-final opponent, well, number of players that could be. Aslan Karatsev with a good win earlier on today in straight sets. What a year he has had. He's got a win, it's his name, against Novak Djokovic this year on the clay. Andrei Rublev, the big upset of the day.
Troisième manche, service, Alexei Bobiev.
Was a result that is in Rafa Nadal's quarter of the draw. So he and Sonego crashing out may well have helped Nadal a little distance first as far as Nadal's concerned. No need to get through this one.
Yeah, looking pretty good right now. 2 sets to love. And you mentioned that victory for Jan-Lennard Struff over Rublev. You and I were taking a peek at that before this match began, and not too dissimilar as far as the height with Struff and Alexei Popyrin. But he never deviated away from his game plan, Jan-Lennard Struff, playing against one of the most winning players this season, certainly one of the dark horses for the tournament, but he continued to pepper him. He attacked him, he served and volleyed, he hustled, he bustled his way. It's long, but maybe that's something for Popyrin to maybe, you know, learn. Stop learning from some of your colleagues that are out there, and the fact that he beat one of the better clay court players this season by taking the initiative and going forward.
Another example, as much as Struff is comfortable on a clay court, certainly moving on it, and he likes a bit of time on the ball. It's another example, though, maybe the conditions are playing quicker. Ball is flying through the air. Last, of course, Medvedev winning in straight sets on day one. It's playing a bit more like a hard court than a clay court. That one's swiped away by Popyrin. Of course, that may well change as we go down the line, and the weather will change. As I say, next few days likely to be a bit more overcast and possibly a little bit of rain, which will change the court, change the ball flight. But when you consider how much clay courts in particular change throughout the week, the balls, the conditions, does that make the achievement of Rafael Nadal even more amazing? In fact, he's been so consistent on a court that changes.
Yeah, seemingly to whatever type of clay court, those conditions. I know that he's maybe not quite at home in Madrid. It played on clay, but it's the elevation, I think, is not the clay. It's just that it's in a bit of altitude that perhaps it hasn't been the scene of as much success compared to the other clay court events.
Always find that funny as well with Madrid, because he's won it 5 times.
And he's not at home
yeah,
there.
It is 5 times, and that's where we go. That's the one he struggles with.
Right.
Which is amazing. Any other player wins a tournament 5 times, we go, that's their tournament. But yeah, for Nadal, that is the one compared to the others. When you consider he won a 10th Rome title this year, a 12th Barcelona.
How many Monte Carlo? It's got to be.
I think it's up around 12. 10? I think, yeah, I think it's up there. It's 11. Yeah, not bad.
I think any time you can get into the teens, and that's sometimes a career, and he's managing to do it at Grand Slam. Going for 14 here.
Had to be careful. There's been a backspin on the ball, but watched it closely.
And there's the rotation, the angle from the middle of the court. Any time that an opponent loses their direction and the ball is up the center third of the court, you can bet that Rafa will get around and just whip the forehand. Has that ability to go cross court as well as whip it up the line.
Oh, it's a fabulous strike.
40-0.
And again, the ball just coming down at a ferocious pace. A lot of topspin as well. And we could see that Popperin on that final backhand just wasn't settled, wasn't balanced at all to hit the backhand, and that produced the error.
Back foot again. Simply sublime forehand. Fizzing it away. I mentioned Gilles Muller as well earlier on in terms of, because I asked him what it was like to feel the ball Nadal strikes, and he said even on a grass court, he said it was like nothing else. It's still fizzing up like he's never known.
Speaks to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly with a couple of players that I've worked with, and they've said you're standing there and you know that it's talking, you can hear it coming towards you.
Tidy point from Popperin. Why aren't others able to replicate what Nadal can do with that ball?
Good question.
I know that's a multi-million-dollar question, but
yeah. I think we've seen coming out of Spain players that have tried to adapt a similar game style, but you know, it's not. You can try to emulate Rafa's play. But I don't think you can emulate what's going on mentally and under the bonnet, so to speak. That's what makes Rafa even more special.
Quick fire service off for Popperin. A bit happier, certainly in this third set. He's got his nose in front. 2-1.
1, there's the pause. Take a break, cue on.
Interesting, Pete, that you were just were saying that Popperin looking more settled, holding serve, firing down an ace. You know, but wondering, you know, that tension has disappeared. He seems to be a little more loose. Just wondering whether he's accepted that maybe this game is, I'm out of it, so I may as well just have a crack at it now.
And enjoy the moment.
Less inhibited, yeah.
We saw Lucien Babel on this court earlier on, a young 17-year-old, and that's exactly what Lucien was saying in terms of just going out and trying to enjoy the moment, enjoy being on court. Philippe Chatrier, one of the greatest courts in world tennis.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's the pause. Cue on.
This Nadal run. The sit down to the baseline.
Yeah, I think when things are going pretty well, when you see that perkiness of Rafa gets up, races back, that we don't have to clock watch him at all. You know, things are traveling pretty well for him in a match.
35 in 2 days, but he's still absolutely rapid around the court.
Yeah, it's the anticipation, and I think there's a level of expectation. He got the rotation low at Popperen's feet, and so he's expecting maybe not one of the better, a great volley. He's certainly very swiftly onto that backhand.
Of course, he's a youngster compared to Federer, though, who turns 40 in a few months' time.
Gee, a 39-year-old yesterday looked like he was a 19-year-old, the way he played.
Yeah, we are blessed to be in this position, watching the all-time greats back-to-back, and then back-to-back today with Djokovic to follow tonight. Oh, that's a sumptuous volley.
Yeah, the return. Look at Rafa. He's going backwards on the angle, and that's a green light for Popperen. Soft pair of hands there. He has spent some time working with one of Australia's great champions, Pat Cash, former Wimbledon champion. Actually was helping him out the year that he won the 롤랑가로스 junior title here. Also spent some time with Popperen on the grass court season a few seasons ago. Nice to have see one of the great Australian champions have some influence. Doesn't have to be there week in, week out, but just to offer some advice to the younger budding champions from Australia.
That's a fine backhand as well. Lent into that one, had some heat on it. And for once, too hot to handle for Nadal. So here's a chance to pick up an early break for the Australian.
Well, this would be a time for me, Pete, if Popperen can work his way forward. He seems like he's having a bit of success at the moment by making these forays into net.
Shot of Vamos there from Nadal. Poppering through everything at him. The Spaniard didn't budge. Encouragement from Dad, though, to Popperen. That sort of a point.
Avantage Nadal.
Oh, yes. What a pickup that is. Almost on the half volley, taking the time away from Popperen. And Nadal wriggles out of the game. To save the break point. Levels things up in the third set at 2 games all.
I think over the years that we've been here covering 롤랑가로스, and I think you and I both have the privilege of being here for these 13 victories. 2 shots that I always look for, that when they start, I start seeing them too often. I then get a little fearful for the rest of the field. One is the backhand that goes cross-court. The other one is that forehand of Rafa when he gets pushed out into the doubles alley and just whips it up the line. I'm starting to see them already in this game, in this match.
So that's early for the championships.
I've seen the combination already here in this match. So, yeah, so whether that is Rafa thinking that, you know, the draw, that he's not just today, but looking forward. He's got to be in some good form, I think, in preparation for what lies ahead.
Current plan, of course, things could change.
Well, we've seen today as well, in the first set, one break point, he took it. He's been pretty clinical on break points throughout. He staved off a couple of break points on his own serve too, and we were mentioning those tough matches that he's had this season, you know, saving the match points against Tsitsipas in the final of Barcelona, coming through that match where he saved match points against Shapovalov in Rome, winning the tight one against Djokovic in the final. So it almost feels like he's battle hardened already this season coming in to 롤랑가로스, which usually isn't the case. As much as we were assessing it as, okay, there's some chinks in the armour, perhaps it's actually made him even stronger coming into this year. A strong service hold there, though, from Alexei Popron. Love service holds. A few of those for the Australian. It's 3-2 in the third.
3, 2, 1. There's the break. Stay right here, Kieran.
Lovely slow motion replay of the popper and backhand volley. It happened a couple of games ago. And I just wonder whether that was part of the tactics, Pete, that maybe with his entourage had spoken about. But there are times I'd like to know what their game plan is, you know, ahead of some of these matches, and see if they can, you know, adapt accordingly.
10. Okay, guys, we are pausing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's pause.
All place.
Update for you from Court Suzanne Lenglen. I can tell you that Richard Gasquet has taken the second set against Hugo Gaston. So Gasquet is set away now from a place in round 2 and a meeting perhaps with Rafael Nadal, who still has a bit of work to do here to finish this match off, trailing 2-3 in the third. Incidentally, the order of players just come out for tomorrow. Chatrier Harmony Tan will start things off against the former finalist Marketa Vondrousova. Starts at midday local time, and then it's Karen Khachanov against Kei Nishikori for 4 p.m. matchup. Serena Williams against Mihaela Buzănescu. And in the night session, it's Tommy Paul against the second seed. The reason that Nadal is in the top half rather than the bottom half, Daniil Medvedev. It was impressive in round 1. A straight set to win over Sasha Bublik. If you're wondering where Zverev and Tsitsipas are, they're both on Lenglen tomorrow. Alexei Popyrin.
They're drawn in there by the top shot attempt of Nadal. Certainly the long reach of Popyrin. Hoping cut off the backhand up the line.
Suddenly come to life in this game, and he's got 2 more break points. Still yet to break Nadal. On the break points, he's had 1 in this set. The second set. Still 1 to go.
I think this is the first time, though, that he's had like a 15-40 opportunity. So that one has slid by, but he can now just reset. Certainly getting that vibe that he's a lot looser right now, Popyrin.
That's a bit wild from Nadal. And there's the look of a man who still believes he can win this. We saw Dominic Thiem lose from 2 sets to love up on day 1. Popyrin has to extend this match as he breaks for a 4-2 lead.
And interesting that Nadal, after missing the forehand, we heard the roar of Popyrin. Rafa just had a little look. There's the roar of Popyrin. Ecstatic that he's got the break of serve, but Rafa just did a little look down his end of the court.
I'd say, watching that match against Denis Shapovalov for Rafael Nadal in Rome, third round encounter. I remember a huge reaction from Shapovalov to go 4-1 up in the second set, having taken the first. And I worried for him then, because
too much.
Yeah, and it felt like there's still a lot to do on a clay court against Nadal.
Yeah.
But right now, Popyrin is in the zone. Firing winners left, right, and centre.
3-0. It's a healthy strike, the off forehand, but have a look at where he makes contact for this forehand. He pulls up the line, maybe 1 foot behind the baseline. So made a difference with his court position.
Terrific game from the Australian. 3 games in a row for Popyrin. And he's now a game away from extending this match, much to the delight of the majority of fans here on court. Philippe Chatrier, they want to see more.
You have to say, because every time I have to say, ball boy is running, and he said,
Broadcasters, on no, I am reciprocating pain.
Well, he's running back to the corner. Yeah, for you, it's not decisive, it's on your back, but for him, it's in front of him.
I have to wait for him for my first serve, my second serve. Always got to wait.
Well, if the ball kid is in position, is the problem. If he's running after running a ball.
It's not the problem. It's only about waiting that the ball boy is there. That's all. You don't see it, but I see it.
This is about a ball boy that isn't quite ready in set position. That's then the reason that Nadal is saying he's taking his time. Popyrin saying, well, I'm having to wait all the time for him to serve or even to return.
5.
One in you both.
So a bit of a conversation going on at the sit down between Piabaki and I must apologise to him firstly, calling him Emmanuel Joseph earlier on, but as in between Pierre Bacchi and Alexei Popyrin and Rafael Nadal. Something to do with a ball boy moving, Nadal waiting for the ball boy to move, but Popyrin wanting Nadal to be quicker between the points, which of course we've been there before with that. The 25-second shot clock. Yeah, at Roland Garros. What did you make of all that, Mark?
Well, if we're following, you know, the thread there, I think Alexei wasn't aware of what's happening behind him. He's up to the line, ready to serve, and he feels like he's being made to wait between first and second. But if the ball kid's not in place, it is in Rafa's line of sight. But I'm glad that Popyrin held his ground and gave a little back to Rafa, or at least to the chair umpire.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You know, he was quite brave and firm. Always easy against the all-time greats.
30-0.
Meanwhile, Nadal serving to stay in this set. A good start. Whips that one up the line. That's the shot you were talking about.
40-0.
It certainly is. A lot of freedom when you're up 30-love in your service game.
Wow, that's the best of the lot. Moving backwards on the half volley, still no problem for the master.
Let's take a look at this. Then a foot of the baseline, and Rafa doesn't really just back away too much. He just gets that weight down. Obviously leaning onto the back foot, but that's just magical.
So rackets to be restrung for Rafael Nadal here. He's just given the ball boy 3. So work to be done, both on and off the court. Work to be done here for the Australian. Alexei Popyrin, as he looks to try and close out this third set. 5-3.
Okay, broadcasters, because it's quite a big thing. Nadal got the set, especially Garros. So it's quite a big thing. We won't give you any updates in this set sit down. We'll just let the commentators take it through and hopefully give you a story of why this has happened and how Popyrin's turn it round. So we'll be staying with this call feed for the next set sit down. Thanks.
Out.
Well dealt with. Mixed success in front of the court. Out of 14 points when he has ventured forward. It's been a lot better in this set though. 5 from 6. few with regards to, just as I was saying, how well he was volleying in this set. That one wrong.
15-30.
It's a curse, Pete, but press that reset button and you'll be fine.
Easier said than done.
It's an unforced error. Yeah, he came in and just trying to hit it too precise. Obviously aware of the foot speed of Nadal. So this is where, talking about reset button, Alexi's got to press it here.
Let's premier service.
Oh, lovely. Went back to the
well.
Well, it's unusual to see Rafa and just have that ball roll over around his frame. Nerves of steel by Popperin to play that drop shot.
Oh, just got on top of that forehand and just found the line.
40-30.
I think a few people in that Popperin box, family box there, might have been just holding their breath as he went up for that forehand.
Groans from this crowd, as much as Nadal is a well-loved champion here. They do like to see their champions tested. Trying to get behind Popperin here. They want to see more of the 13-time Grand Slam champion, and they want to see more of this young Australian. Punch.
Avantage pour bien.
Just asking the question. Afraid for Popperin. On occasion he didn't have the answer.
Let's see if we can notice anything there. Popperin certainly just looking straight down at the strings. Felt like that it exploded off the face of the racket there. But how about the grit of Nadal once again, just forcing his opponent, his back's to the wall in this set at the moment. It's just asking him to play one more shot.
That's wild. Maybe a bit of frustration in that forehand.
Avantage Nadal.
Yes.
Two set points saved. There's a chance to get the break back for Rafael Nadal. It's just classic Rafael Nadal, isn't it? You fail to take your chances and he will punish you. And that is exactly what the Spaniard has done there. Saves 2 set points and gets the break back in the nick of time. We're still leading, but only by 5 games to 4 now.
2, 1. There's the pause. Take your break.
Well, I mean, when you look at that game, isn't that classic Nadal? What I said there in terms of, you know, okay, you might say Popyrin should have won those set points, but he just makes life so tough for opponents time and time and time again.
It makes it very frustrating, and you know what I picked up there was how wild Popyrin became after he missed the overhead on set point. The ball just shot long, but then he followed up with 2 forehands that just missed by quite a distance. He almost like the panic entered back into his game. There's some of the serve direction of Nadal. See that there's a bit of a mix on the first court. On the ad court, he is preferring 78% to try and focus on the slider wide.
Pause.
Just saw a graphic at the sit down there where Rafael Nadal is serving, and no real surprise that 78% from the ad court is that lefty slider out wide. Well, you're a lefty.
Yep.
How often did you practice that serve in particular? Because that's the serve that's synonymous with left-handers.
It is, and having grown up on grass back home, certainly it was a serve that was an option for me. But then once I started to learn I went through my apprenticeship for 4 years. I only played on clay and played very little on grass. So I started to develop more of a kick serve. So I felt like that I didn't really use it as much as I should have throughout my career.
It's always a situation where you know opponents are edging to their left-hand side against Rafael Nadal. He's serving to stay in this set for the second time. Grabbed hold of the lifeline that was thrown his way. Just sat up nicely, as if Rafael Nadal needs any extra help.
30-0.
Again, wonderful camera work. It just highlights the intensity and the focus of Nadal. Eyes on the ball, making sure he spaces himself out, balanced as he makes contact. Big serve there, Pete. That's 193 kilometres. Certainly with the balls, if they are playing a bit more pellet-like, he's
Wayne,
able to
current plan is finish
pick up the benefits.
We'll go to we'll stay for the interview and then probably show you kind of six match points, and eventually getting over to Poyvis match on court 14, where your commentators will be Wayne Boyce, until we then get back over to the next match on Long, which is Pliskova Bekic.
Some shot from Popyrin on the stretch, still able to generate the power.
40-15.
Easy power for Rafael Nadal. Just rips through another forehand. Another one flies up the line. He finds his way back to 5-all from 2-5 down.
And that's where it does become unnerving for opponents. Poppering's backhand, well, it was up the centre third of the court. Okay, it wasn't really with much direction, but there was something on it. There was a bit of pace, but Rafa just erased it and forehand into the court.
That's a question. You mentioned the word reset. Can push that reset button, having lost 3 games in a row. Having had the chance to take a set off Nadal, to be the first player to do that. Well, since Dominic Thiem in the final in 2019. No, again, it's the overhead. Just couldn't get on top of it.
15-30.
Yeah, look, it's in this position. It's halfway between a full overhead. He opts to take it as a high forehand volley, and in that case, you can't just go down the court with that volley. You've got to be able to find an angle. It's kind of the differences between a clay court as opposed to a faster court indoors or a hard court. You can go through the court.
What we can see from Popper, I'm sure his coaching team, his parents will talk about these emotions that just sometimes get the better of him, and the hangover effect lasts 2, 3, 4 games rather than just the one. The 2 great points. Yeah, Nadal not happy here. I think the serve was long. Circling it, pointing it out to Pierre Pacci. So Nadal had the option to stop. Wow. That had some fizz on it. Finds the baseline.
Avantage, Popper.
Égalité. It's a shot he's liked to play. Angled inside out.
Well, it was in the right direction. If he tried to pull it up the line, he's just out of position in a big way. So, like the idea of hitting the off forehand there, just missing the sideline though.
Avantage, Nadal.
broadcasters and Wayne just now we have 6 in that run.
Point for the game.
We're going to get it in. Gasquet, match point, long land. If Nadal wins, then we'll do it. But I'm thinking if Nadal drops a set, like I said before, because I don't believe he dropped a set at all last year. Yeah, exactly. So we'll stay with this.
Another real surprise. So we've seen him miss a smash today. We've seen him miss 2 second serve returns on break points. Maybe the world will end.
I think I'd give the nod to a quality second serve though for Popper, and that really extracted that error. Certainly got a lot of kick, the juice from the court.
Net, second service.
Second time in this game that's happened. Just flown on him.
He looked to serve and volley at the juice point. He missed his first serve. Whether it's in his mind to do it again. And it looked like he was inside the court. Once more missing by a small margin.
Bided his time and picked his spot and hit the bullseye.
Yeah, fantastic job of anticipating Rafa's response there. Much to his delight, but frustration for Nadal perhaps. If he'd gone down the line just with a little chip, it might have been a break of serve his way.
Avantage Popper.
Critical of him for maybe having it for too long. But he had to dig deep to hold serve there. And once again, a game away from taking this set. Leads 6-5.
1. There is the break. You will get a
look of relief from Dad. But he's going to be proud of his son for that game.
Yeah, he had to come up with something a little extra there, didn't he? Popper able to control some of those emotions, and then once he saw that final return go over the baseline, just let out a huge roar again, just sending a little niggle down to Nadal's end of the court.
Say, there's no doubt he believes, and he's talked about when he finds his A game, what a dangerous player he is for any opponent on any surface. We've seen glimpses of that today, certainly. Just hasn't been able to do it for sustained periods of time. And then who has against Rafael Nadal on the clay?
4, 3, 2, 1. There's the pause. In ready 1.
So Nadal coming out for the 3rd time to stay in this set. Just wonder whether those missed break point opportunities will linger at the back of his mind. Had 4 of them in the previous game. Opportunities in a couple of them as well. As it is, rather than serving for the match, he's serving to stay in the set. 5-6.
I haven't made 1 return.
Just hear that. Apologies if you picked up the language. But frustrated he's not made 1 return. Got to 6-5. First set, like he'd solved the problem with the double faults, Nadal, but despite the great time, it was going to be a comfortable service hole, but now, more interesting.
That's the 7th one in our list.
Nadal. That's the question before the game. The 4 break points linger in the back of his mind. I asked it kind of knowing what the answer would probably be, but that's another example of what makes him such a great champion. He's unaffected by what has gone before. Comes through the game, and it will be a tiebreaker. He's actually got the best of tiebreak records in 2021, though. You can see there, 1-1 lost 2, although he did win his last one, which was that deciding set against Denis Shapovalov in Rome. And meanwhile, he's had a fair few, won 18 this year. And he's off to a good start in this one.
And nicely done with this backhand in particular. Wasn't in a rush. Nadal just asking for the majority of the balls in play, just to be down his end of the court.
No mistake with that.
Partout.
Feet. Just moving, shuffling into place. Certainly very helpful, getting some extra sting behind the overhead.
That's a ripper, as they say in your homeland.
Certainly was a beauty. Well, a miss hit by Popperin, but it's Nadal. The footwork gets himself around and has options. He could have gone, pulled that one back up the line, kind of cross court, but with the off one. Just devastating forehand.
Actually, I think I might just swap that order around. Actually, so sorry to be a pain. Just to finish it better.
Just couldn't quite get around the ball in time. Being jammed, and again, that's just the tactical smarts of Nadal.
Yeah, look, that's going to happen when you're playing against the caliber of Nadal. You're going to get a little cramped and tight on the ball, but you know, you can still get the ball back over. It's like he just went into a bit of a panic there, Alexei. Tried to overplay it.
No, unfortunately, but he did. It was my favourite last year. He gave two games, and even when he got knocked out.
Maybe just overplayed that volley.
I didn't say
We mentioned throughout this commentary, I mean, you mentioned what you like, the fact he's playing on the clay in the south of France. So much to like about his game, so much talent to work with. Do you just feel it is a bit of polish in various areas?
Certainly. I think, you know, 12 months down the track, you know, 2022 롤랑가로스, I think we'll see such an improved Popperin.
Given nothing away in this tiebreaker when pushes come to shove. He's locked it all down. Popperin not being given anything, and that perhaps just taking its toll. Nadal racing into a 5-1 advantage in this tiebreaker. What will he have learned from the experience, Popperin?
Well, I think maybe to take a peek at the video of the match and footage and just see how that period of time early in the, or midway through the first set, how he reacted. That, I think, set the tone for the rest of the match, unfortunately, and he's now having to just play catch up, and certainly on the precipice of going out here in the first round. But is how to handle, you know, as you pointed out, that you know, sometimes his emotions do get the better of him.
Broadcasters, well, slight change of plan. At the end of the interview, we'll come out to the beauty, we'll show you Nadal's
as Nadal looks to get the better of an opponent once again. One call for Chatrier.
Inside Chatrier watching Nadal. But of course, around 롤랑가로스 there's lots of screens and beautiful blue sunshine, and everyone's enjoying themselves and watching Nadal. So there'll be a bit of bubble under that, just gentle bubble, and Wayne, you can finish with that. Then out to a beauty again, and then we'll do the run 7 that we've been through the order quite a few times, and then eventually we'll be joining Cuevas on 40.
Not done yet. There's a nice combination. Didn't have to just solely use the power.
Yes.
Took his time with the forehand and just taking some pace off of it, went with some shape.
When we get to 14, Lucy Arl is also going to step in as co-comms.
Something that he's certainly got to take away from today, that the forehand can certainly do damage even against the greatest, if not the greatest ever clay court player. Still punch holes against Nadal.
It's the 20th winner from the forehand wing for Popperin. Just 2 from the backhand.
Opens the door to match win number 1. 롤랑가로스. And starts his campaign for title number 14. Overall, a very tidy performance from the Spaniard.